That was our turn, by the way. What's happening, guys? Well, today, Hermit and I are up on the... Well, if we went that way, we'd go up to Kingston Peak. I'm sure you guys can kind of guess what it looks like, and you've probably seen this in the videos before. But what I want to talk to you guys about today is riding a dual sport or any kind of dirt bike on rocks. So I know you guys see me and Hermit do it all the time in Hermitville. And I know from Miss Stacy's recent experience that people are just, and even my experience when I first started riding, it was just like, how in the heck do you ride over those baby head rocks and not just completely fall over and die? And it's terrifying when you first start riding. Did you go through that at all, Hermie?
Yeah, that was definitely one of the trickier things out here, like, but you don't have any choice either.
Right. And I mean, I know when Stace still had the big green boob, her quad, we used to look for trails that I didn't think would have a whole lot of rocky sections on them, so I would feel comfortable to ride them.
Right.
But then as you start going, you start realizing trails will be perfectly awesome like this, and then all of a sudden you're climbing over, you know, boulders or baby heads or whatever.
Right.
So the key to riding on rocks is really kind of the key to riding on sand. You just want to put your weight on the rear tire. You want to keep high revs if you have to. I mean, if you're going uphill and stuff, you want to keep the revs high so that your back tire is always moving. And you want to keep the front end light. And you just kind of want to, what I do is I kind of muscle the front end and just kind of keep it going the direction I want it to go to. Now you can see what's happening to Hermit is the bike's just going all over the place. But he's keeping it moving forward, so he's maintaining his balance. Standing up, sitting down, it doesn't really matter. I find that sitting down on super gnarly rocks is easier for me, because if I need to put my foot down, I don't have to sit down then put my foot down. Also probably keep me from breaking a leg. But yeah, riding over rocks, it does suck until you get used to it. But once you get used to it, I mean, you'll be second, third gear, just flying right across, no problem. Whoa, like that. Uh-oh, I went the wrong way. There's a giant mud pit.
You know, I kind of wish when I moved out here,
yeah,
it just wouldn't have been such a surprise.
What wouldn't have?
How freaking rocky these trails are.
Oh, these trails are nasty rocky.
Yeah, I just wish somebody would have put up a sign or something that would have said, these mountains are really rocky that you're about to ride on, so be careful. Learn how to ride on rocks.
You're a funny guy, Hermit.
Yeah.
Riding in the not so rocky mountains, I mean.
I agree, it is kind of like sand in that you're not really steering the bike, you're suggesting to it.
Yeah, you're suggesting that the bike go the way you want it to go.
Yeah, and momentum is definitely your friend.
Yeah, momentum is definitely your friend.
And you know, the bike's going to go off and go on its own line sometimes, and you just kind of got to ride it out, and if you try to fight it and get it back to the line that you wanted, then you're probably going to have more problems.
Very true. But pretty soon you'll get really good at keeping your eyes maybe like 30 or 40 feet ahead of where you're riding, and you can kind of pick the side that looks like it has less toe clippers, as I like to call them. But you know, sometimes that's not possible. Sometimes you just gotta bomb it. Give it some throttle, and just like Hermit said, make suggestions on where you'd like the bike to go, and she'll pretty much go that way. Yeah. And once you start getting a little bit more familiar, you'll know when you really can give it the beans and when you can't.
Yeah, a 20-inch tire will roll over a lot more than most people think.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned that the super hard way. 21-inch front tire will almost ride straight up a tree.
Yep.
So a lot of these rocks that, you know, if you're just walking, you're like, man, if you hit that with a dirt bike, you're gonna freaking die. It's just not true. You just go right up over it. The only other really strong suggestion that I have, if you're gonna ride like stuff like this, invest in a skid plate.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. And some of these are loose, some of them are in the ground, but they do kick up and they will hit the bottom of your bike hard. And also you will go over some that you think you can go over, but you really can't. And you'll be thankful you're not leaking oil from the bottom of your bike because your skid plate took the beat down.
You know what I really like? I don't know if this is for everyone, but it's just something, personal preference of mine.
What's that?
Is I really like plastic skid plates. You know, like the skid plates are made out of really, really hard, thick plastic.
Did they just close that? I feel like we went up there.
I don't know.
Alright, plastic skid plate?
Yeah. Yeah, like really, really hard, thick plastics. I mean, it's really tough stuff.
I'm gonna disagree.
Yeah, well, I don't surprise, and I wouldn't talk anybody into it either.
Right. Alright, so tell me why, and then I'll tell you why I disagree.
Well, you know, I've been using that on the WR for 3 seasons, and it's done what it's supposed to do, and never broken or causing a problem at all.
Okay.
And then one minor advantage is it's easier to slide it around a little bit when I get it on the stand. And one major advantage is it doesn't reflect sound nearly as much.
That is true, and I had a big issue with that.
Yeah.
Now I'll tell you why I disagree, and I'll also point out the other things.
Yeah.
I disagree because rock is harder than plastic. So if you actually take a good smack on a rock, you're going to break that plastic skid plate. There's just no way around it.
Well, it should be absorbing and flexing. It shouldn't crack.
It should.
So it might flex too much and not do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, like, I wear plastic armor, and protecting my chest is a hell of a lot more important to me than protecting my case. So
true.
If the plastic's good enough for that, then I don't mind it so much on the bike.
Right, but you're also not taking, I don't know, let's just say in a normal rider, you're close to that. So say 400, 450 pounds and cracking it over a rock at 20 miles an hour. No. That's not how your armor's working.
No, but you know, I have been doing that for 3 years, like I said, with the plastic plate, and it's been fine.
Right. Okay, yeah, all right. So then I guess we'll just have to say that that's an opinion.
Yeah, like I said, it's my personal preference, and I'm not going to be surprised if we get lots of comments from people that agree with you and say, yeah, I did a plastic plate and that sucked.
Right.
But, you know, for what it's worth, the one I use is from Moose Racing, and it's just a pretty freaking tough skid plate made out of plastic. Okay,
so I have the DeVol metal one. And man, I hear rocks ping off that thing all the time, hard.
Yeah.
You know, boom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, skid plate. You'll hear me say it in the videos.
Yeah, sure.
Now, the other thing is, you mentioned the reflection of sound. All right, so I just rode through there without being able to see the bottom, just following Hermit. But I kept steady throttle and just went straight. I knew if I hit a rock, I just have to adjust and I'd keep going right on across. But the thing about the skid plate is, it drove me literally, oops, there's neutral. It literally drove me insane. Like I was ready to kill myself.
Because of the sound?
150 miles. I went out for a really long ride. Yeah. 150 miles of my skid plate just going.
Oh, it was vibrating on the frame.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like loony bin insane when I got home.
Yeah, but there's something you can do about that, isn't there?
Yeah, there is something you can do about it.
Yeah.
And it worked out perfectly for me. Tell your Miss Stacy, or if you don't have a Miss Stacy, go yourself, to go to Michael's. And they have craft foam. And that craft foam you use to line the bottom of the skid plate. And then you bolt the skid plate back down. Make sure that enough of the craft foam overlays where the skid plate touches the frame. Yeah. And all your problems will be gone.
Yeah.
I just cut it in the shape of the skid plate. That's all I did.
Yeah,
And I cut out the holes for the bolts. There's no like black magic involved or anything.
You know what else works for that problem?
What's that?
Inner tubes from bicycles. You know, like a mountain bike or BMX bicycle inner tube tire.
So, you know, I thought about that too.
Yep. Yeah, that works.
But the inner tube isn't nearly as wide, and I couldn't use it to cover the entire skid plate.
Yeah.
So not only was the vibration from the frame rails touching the skid plate annoying, but also just the reflection of the sound from the bottom of the engine onto the skid plate and back up into my helmet.
Okay. So maybe the inner tubes doesn't work for your application.
It might not have worked for that.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, you can try all these different methods and let me know which one works for you. Look at you, fancy moves.
Yeah. You know what else? You know what else helps that sound reflection problem?
What's that?
Plastic skid plate.
Lots of what?
A plastic skid plate.
Plastic skid plate. Oh, Hermit. I'm riding straight up the river.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a video full of us riding on rocks.
Yeah.
What a perfect time to do that.
Oh crap.
What are you doing to me?
Well, it was one of those things where, you know, it was kind of hard to decide which one was going to suck less, and the only bad thing you could do was hesitate.
Yeah.
And I hesitated.
Yeah, and you stopped me in the stream.
Yeah.
It's cool though. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
I like it here.
Like that. I think that's the better way to go. I couldn't see that big pit when I came over here.
Yeah.
Like usually when we're coming this way, we go that way and you just kind of drop into it.
Right.
But we're just gonna get stuck there.
It's full of mud right now.
Yeah, we're just gonna get stuck there and like spin our tires and throw mud everywhere.
Yeehaw!
Yeah. So
some people might like that.
Yeah.
Your bike is making my glasses fog up.
Ah, well, it's a sexy beast.
She is. Oh boy. Oh, hang on. There you go. Sometimes you just need Sometimes you just need a couple of inches. Whoa. All right, get her straight. There we go. One other suggestion that I have for riding on embedded rocks like this, where you really have to be careful, is keeping 2 fingers, maybe even 3 fingers. Whoa, that was a skid plate. Keeping 2 fingers on the clutch and letting it slip just a little bit, so you keep your RPMs up, but you can also let go of the power if you need to for just a second. And I do that a lot.
Well, that's interesting because I don't do that.
It helps me a lot with my fine power adjustment.
Oh, so you're basically feathering a little bit so you can keep your RPMs up.
I'm sorry, say again?
So you're basically feathering a little bit so you can keep your RPMs up?
Yeah. Basically, okay. You know, like the same method you would use to do a wheelie.
Yeah.
You know, pull the clutch in, but keep the throttle on.
Okay.
But, you know, obviously you don't want to be giving it as much throttle as you would if you were doing a wheelie.
Yeah. That's a lot smarter than what I do. I just keep the RPMs up with the clutch out and crash more.
Right, but then you're out of control, and I don't really like being out of control.
No, you're way smarter.
And going downhill in this stuff just sucks. So there's no advice.
Yeah. Hold on.
There's no advice for downhill. So no holds barred.
Maybe flex your elbows a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Try to keep a good stance.
This kind of reminds me of that 109 trail we did earlier.
I think I enjoyed the 109 trail a lot more than this.
Than this?
Yeah.
This is terrible.
That's just kind of a grind.
Yeah, this
109 was just enough where we could kind of go fast and float over it a little bit.
So you're going to see in the video, I was just facing this way on the trail, and I hit a rock, and I ended up facing this way on the trail. But you just gotta ride with it. Use your arms. It sucks, but you can do it. These bikes will do this stuff easy. Whoa, that is for real mud. Whew. All right, back into the creek. See, I like this stuff. I don't mind riding through this at all. getting a little too far up there, buddy.
Alright, if I can find a place to go slower, I will.
It's alright, I might catch up. I've just hit a faster spot. You gotta use your weight. Use your hips, your butt, your arms, all of it. Chest. I'm still talking about riding over rocks, right?
I hope so.
I wouldn't want to come down there in the dark. I'll say that.
No, no way.
That would just not be fun. Wonder if my camera's still going. Any other suggestions for dirt, Mr. Hermit, or for rocks, Mr. Hermit, or should we just leave her there?
Well, I don't know, this might be obvious, but tire pressure can help a lot.
Yes, okay, that's a good one.
It can hurt too, you can go too low on this stuff and pitch a flat.
Right.
So, you gotta, what I do is I run ultra thick tubes, not heavy, ultra thick, but the middle ones, the heavy duty tubes.
Right, heavy duty, not ultra heavy duty.
Right, I run those tubes, and I'll run probably no lower than 15 pounds on this stuff. Well,
okay.
The lower the better.
So I get a lot of questions from the big guys. So big guys, listen up. I run 18-18 all the time. I don't change my tire pressure ever. And for one reason is because we're constantly switching surfaces. But I can ride on these rocks and I do not feel the rim at all. If I were to go down to 15 like Hermit said, which I have done, I will be feeling my rim all day long. Alright, so tire pressure. What would you say, you know, like you ride even lower, like in dirt, not on this stuff, right?
Yeah, if I'm not coming here and doing, like, I would, like I said, if I know I'm doing this kind of trail,
yeah,
then I'll do 15, but if I think I'm going to be doing a little bit smoother stuff, then I'll ride like 15 in the front and 13 in the back. Okay. You know, but, you know, that's kind of like something I kind of just figured out myself with trial and error. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, we took a poll and got a consensus of most people, it was a lot different than what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm surprised a lot of people adjust their tire pressure as much as they do. Yeah. Except for extremes. Like sand, I could see, you know, lowering your tire pressure in sand is going to give you a lot more surface area for grip. Yeah. But like from going to stuff like this to going to straight dirt to going to street, like, do you really need to change it all that much? Yep. Do you want to go the long switchback or the bumpy short way? Let's go the bumpy short way. All right. That's pretty terrifying, right? Yeah, it's very terrifying. Especially if it's the first time this season, because it changes configuration over the winter every year. Yeah, we should probably take a look at it, because it could be completely gone. I think every time we get to it, we look over the edge and we're like, well, we're too far now.